California Department of Pharmaceuticals Detroit followed in the footsteps of companies to escape to hit California, the heart of the world's fourth largest economy. Now it is questioned whether it will embark on the old road of Detroitization. Enterprises are on the run, people's hearts are moving, and taxes are rising. Is this the truth or emotion? Today I used 3 steps to figure out the first, who is walking and why. Second, how does the Newsom government respond? How will everyday people and small businesses survive in the future? Before the video starts, please subscribe to us to retweet and like. Who's walking? From quietly walking to showdown a few years ago, everyone kept a low profile, but now many companies directly show their cards. Tesla and SpaceX, which you can name, brought their core teams and projects to Texas, and Oracle Bone Inscriptions, HP, and Charles Schwab moved out successively. Chevron reduces its presence in California. Iconic brand Playboy announces going to Miami Beach. RNDC, America's second-largest liquor distributor, exits California. According to the symbolic meaning, Bed Bath & Beyond clearly did not enter California during the restructuring, and the reason was very straightforward and only entered profitable markets. Provoke less class actions, touch less over-regulation, keywords from voting with feet to voting with loudspeakers. 2. Why do they go for high-pressure points? 1. Taxes and costs. Weekly tax, sales tax, land price and rent insurance, energy compliance costs are superimposed, and small and medium-sized enterprises cannot bear it first. 2. Complex employment rules. Thousands of pages of labor laws and regulations plus the minimum wage continue to increase, which has the greatest impact on frontline service industries, catering, logistics, and small manufacturing. 3. Litigation risks are uncertain. The PAGA mechanism allows employees to file lawsuits on behalf of Joe. In many cases, it is not malicious exploitation, but detailed rules, but the cost is equally high. 4. Policy uncertainty. What enterprises are most afraid of is not strictness, but being so strict today, stricter tomorrow, and changing the day after tomorrow. Long return on investment cycle. Once expectations get worse, I will try to open a new store in Texas first. 3. How does Newsom fight back? Is macro better than micro? Newsom's logic is macro and eye-catching. California is the engine of the US economy. Technology, entertainment, agriculture, and clean energy still lead GDP, and its size is on display. Just because individual companies lose their temper doesn't mean that the whole company is poor. His office's statement can be summarized as a sentence: workers are good and enterprises are naturally good. And bringing the focus back to the macro game at the national level, the uncertainty brought about by tariffs, immigration, and federal policies will also hurt enterprises. This set of narratives has data and big channels, but it also leads to visits to macro prosperity and micro scenes, who can see the pain of small and medium-sized enterprises. 4. The focus of dispute is 3% and the trend of panic. Not to mention that there is no Cold Water Research Institute. The proportion of headquarters moving out of state accounts for only about 3% of California enterprises. This explains a phenomenon, why the news looks lively, but there are no disasters and losses at the statistical level. The reason is very simple. It is often iconic enterprises that leave. Every step they take, the media amplifies it tenfold, thus forming a trend panic rather than a data crash. This brings today's difficult problem. The macro level is without him, and the micro level is again. Both facts are established at the same time. 5. The real situation is the most difficult for ordinary people and small bosses. Life's essentials, rent, insurance, gas, and food aren't cheap in California. Service and franchise chains face a double squeeze: higher wages, weaker customer demand, and tighter regulations. If you want to expand, first calculate the costs of litigation and supervision. Is it easier to leave? Stores, equipment, families, communities. Which one is not a sunk cost? You think that a big company is far away from you, but what it affects is the industrial chain and employment, and the disc will eventually circle around and fall on your account book. 6. Will the shadow of Detroit eventually repeat itself? Detroit's lesson is single. Industrial recession leads to a vicious circle of tax-based collapse, population loss and shrinking services, making it more difficult to retain people. The difference in California lies in its diversified industries, science and technology, entertainment, agricultural venture capital, clean energy, and a deeper moat. But the similarities are also fatal. Once the willingness to survive of small and medium-sized enterprises continues to deteriorate, the employment side will be injured first, the quality of urban services will decline accordingly, and the expectations of residents and investors will be downgraded simultaneously. It won't collapse overnight, but it may get cold slowly. The quote is more like today's California wake-up bell. 7. What do enterprises want and what does the government want? What enterprises want is simple and predictable. I can calculate that the 5-year account can be compliant. If you don't change shifts, you can make a profit if you step on the thunder, and the payment and return are equal. What the government wants is not complicated. Income stability, tax performance cannot collapse, fair guarantee, don't leave workers behind. Green transformation, the direction cannot be chaotic. The question is not who is right and who is wrong, but how to make the right thing into a rhythm that both sides can live. 8. 3 operable hemostatic lines can be implemented for decision-making in 3 matters of the enterprise. First, it was fine-tuned and overturned. Classify the proportion and plot of PHGA, separate malicious exploitation from procedural negligence, and start the goods with tickets. Don't be across the board. 2. Expected lock-in. Give a 2 to 3 year compliance roadmap for key industries and sell famous brands so that the investment model can be calculated. 3. Buffer loans for small and medium-sized enterprises, providing targeted subsidies in salary, insurance, energy consumption, and training. The tax increase serves employment capacity, not capital speculation. As far as my conclusion is concerned, the daily review is neither a doomsday theory nor a quiet time. If you only look at the macro, you will say that California is stable. If you only look at frontline operations, you will say that California is suffering. Both are right. In the next 2 years, it is a keyword expectation management that determines the trend. Through the policy and litigation environment, it is stable and predictable. The thickness of the industry at home is enough to repair itself, and the individual enterprises in parallel with strength and change. The industry will continue to express its position with its feet, and it will become the norm if it is slow. 10. Methodology left to every ordinary person. Job seekers give priority to job examinations to resist regulatory impacts, such as production equipment maintenance that AI can't, B2B sales compliance and data positions. Small bosses optimize shifts and give priority to human efficiency, quantifiable compliance processes, just in case. Site selection and expansion include Texas, Florida, and Tennessee in the feasibility assessment. Investors focus on the cash flow quality of small and medium-sized enterprises rather than stock market growth. Cash flow is more important than valuation. Finally, will California be green? I don't think it will be in the short term, but slow cooling is a real risk. Is the company around you walking or hiring? Leave a message and tell me your first-line feelings. If you find this issue useful, like and forward it. Pay attention to Little Blue Man. See you next time.